So one thing that's going to help us out tremendously in terms of, being free to play and trying to get our hands on certain characters is that there is a shop that gives out actually fairly good characters. Now, as it stands right now, overall in JJK, in total, there's 3 SSRs that you can get your hands on. Obviously with Global, the third character is still yet to be released, but as it stands, Gojo and Hanami are in the shop itself, as you guys can see. Per cost is 1500 Phantom medals. So just to kind of break it down to you guys, how you guys can go about getting Phantom medals, it's as simple as doing events. So that's one of the other big reasons. Obviously I've done my videos talking about events and how they're going to be very crucial for us, but in general, doing events is going to be the more consistent way of getting these medals. So if you head over to the pools, and as you guys can see, you can get 7 of these Phantom medals 4 times, of course, and they're there, so you can get 70 here, right, because there's 10 of them in here, another 70. So it's going to be mainly through events that these medals will appear, of course. Also, the event hasn't been unlocked yet, but once you do chapter 8 episode 12, the formidable foe, these are like bosses that you can fight against. Once you get to those, or this specific mode, again, I believe in the first floor, yeah, so there's 50, is that 50? I thought that said 500 then, no, 50. So there's 50 there, so yeah, it's a bit of a pain in the ass, because like, it's limited in a way, especially for them asking for 1500. Originally I thought they were going to kind of do more to kind of pick up the pace, but it really comes down to them wanting you to play the game and put time in and put grind in, rather than it just being a quick one and done, here's the resources, get the character. No, it is going to be a process. It is long term, unfortunately. I know some people would want to just get it and go, and start now, but that's just how they've decided to go about doing these whole free SSRs. They're making us work for it by the looks of it, and rightfully so. I mean, these SSRs are actually fairly good to have. So I just kind of wanted to showcase on how to go about get those medals. I'm pretty sure Domain Investigation won't have the medals, but I'm pretty sure that you might be. I don't recall getting anything from story, unless I'm tripping. Yeah, I don't think story will give you any of it. But I know when different, because obviously with the JP version, I don't know if there's many events going on right now. So like an example like this, of course, right? If there's multiple events happening, then you've got access of multiple ways of getting medals. So once we get to this stage where there's a lot going on to keep us occupied, to keep us busy, and to give us more than one ways to get access to medals through the events primarily, then we're going to be a-okay. So just want to clarify that, and that's how realistically we're going to be getting those Phantom medals. Now, talking about the 3 SSRs, obviously 1,500 is per character. That is a lot. That really is a lot. So it really now comes down to, so who do I pick, right? Because you don't want to make the mistake and pick one character when realistically the other is preferred. So obviously Jogo and Hanami are in the pool, so we'll quickly go over them so that way you guys are more than prepared. We'll do post adjustments actually. Okay, so red typing, debuffer / support, as I like to say. When it comes to the first skill, again we'll just do level 1, just make it easy for us. 101.8 range Jujutsu damage to a selected enemy. The higher the enemy's ultimate skill count, the greater the damage. That's kind of how Hanami's working off. It's all about the ultimate play. Second skill, just doing 292.6 range Jujutsu damage, fairly simple. Skill 3 decreases all enemies' damage by 19.8% and then increases own ultimate skill gauge charge rate by 50%. Now these two, I believe, are the only characters in the game that have domain expansion. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty confident as of right now these are the only 2 characters in question that have their domain expansion. So when it comes to Hanami's domain expansion, 462 range Jujutsu damage, it's AoE. Then you expand the domain, domain, there we go. And so when the domain expansion is activated, grants guaranteed hit effect and attack immunity notification, decreases all enemies damage by 16.9%, unable to fill own ultimate skill gauge. So that's something that is just going to be very similar going forward when it comes to domain expansion, so it's kind of self-explanatory. And so that's kind of how that is going to be working in terms of debuffing and supporting the team to, you know, get some more damage going in, of course. Obviously, once you do the combo, then you get a break damage of 8%, 33% of range reduced damage to all enemies. In terms of the passives, at the start of the battle you recover 13% HP every turn, and then at the start of each turn, if cursed energy is 10 or below, recovers own cursed energy by 20 up to 2 times during the battle. At the start of the battle, reduces own damage by 20%. Not gonna lie, I kind of like that. I hate the stipulation of the 2, but I mean, kind of makes sense of why they have to make so that you can only use such amount during a fight. So that's kind of how Hanami is working, which is 1 below Jogo. I would say Jogo will probably be the preferred choice in terms of just kind of full DPS. So yeah, so it does equal 55.7 and 55.7 on both Taijutsu and Jujutsu on his first skill. Second skill is ranged, equaling 80.1 on Taijutsu, and then same again on Jujutsu. And then when it comes to the third skill, range Jujutsu damage for 1 turn, and again that's 86.8%. So nothing too crazy going on with the initial skills, of course. Now once you domain expansion, range damage of 260%, that's AoE. When you're in the domain expansion, hit effects and attacks immunity nullifications to self, deals 40.3 continuous Jujutsu damage flame to all enemies, so basically burning them. Increases own critical hit rate by 110%, increasing own damage by 15.5%, reducing damage received by 15.5%, recovers own cursed energy by 30.2%, and then of course, as per usual, can't fill up the ultimate skill gauge. So realistically, you want to you want to go into the domain expansion and then start popping off. That's basically what's going to be happening. Combination attack, you recovers ult cursed energy 20, yep, and then do an AoE damage both 51.9% on Jujutsu and Taijutsu. Now in terms of the passive, if own HP is 50% or below, increases own Jujutsu damage by 25%, again this is only a one-time deal, or one time during the battle, and then at the start of each wave recovers own cursed energy by 10. So that's kind of how the attacking side of things are going to be working. Now like I said, these are the only 2 characters in question for the global store, but as we know, well, as you guys might know, there is a third character that is still yet to be added, and it is the third character that I'm personally waiting on. Because in my eyes, in terms of looking at all the 3 characters that we have gotten, it's Mahito that is probably going to be grabbing a lot of people. Like right now, Mahito outbeats these 2 in terms of which is better. So that's what we're kind of waiting on, and that's what I'm going to be saving for. Again, 1500 of these medals, hard to come by, and so if I've got my 1500, you best believe I'm pushing it towards the better character. And obviously Global hasn't still yet to get him, but when it does happen, I'm going to be there to make sure that I get it day one. So with this Mahito attacker, once again, there's a lot on the table with this one, so we just have to briefly go through it. So range Taijutsu damage 133.4%. If an enemy does not have a weakness to green type, changes the skill effect to deal 133.4% of Taijutsu damage to the selected enemy as a type that the selected enemy has a weakness to. Attacks without a type when selecting an enemy without a weakness. Alright. That already is just a huge sell factor, right? While in domain expansion, depending on the own Jujutsu, own Jujutsu and enemies remaining HP, instantly kill the enemy. Alright, some enemies are excluded, which is basically big bosses, so it kind of makes sense, of course. So that's kind of why when it comes to attacking side of things, Mahito just outbeats Jogo, to be honest, and Hanami is a debuff / support, so yeah, kind of makes sense. So like on the second skill, 400% melee Jujutsu damage, Jesus Christ. Again, depending on the Jujutsu and the enemy's remaining HP, it could be an insta-kill. And then if you're in the domain expansion, increases own Jujutsu damage by 20%. The damage overall is now at 450%. And then depending on the Jujutsu and enemy's remaining HP, instantly kill the enemy as per usual. Christ on a bike. Wait, did I skip one? I did. Oh my god, my bad. I skipped skill 2, which is grants miniaturization status to self, fills own ultimate skill gauge. So you can literally just cheap it. If you want a domain expansion, you can literally just activate your second skill. So while the domain is active, it changes the skill effect to deals 224.3 melee to taijutsu damage as a type that a selected enemy has a weakness to, and then increases the selected enemy's taijutsu damage received by 20%. That's fantastic. Depending on, again, the remaining HP, it can be an insta-kill, of course. And what this skill does is that not only does it make it so that you're one step closer to domain expand, but it makes it so that it evades single target attacks. So that is fairly solid. And then skill 3 we just briefly went over. And then when it comes to the domain expansion, 662, again this is level 1 by the way, just an FYI, to the selected enemy you're doing Jujutsu damage, deals damage equal to minus 15% of all enemies HP, and then expands the domain, grants hit effect and attack immunity as per usual, decreases own damage received by 20%. Obviously you can't fill up your ultimate skill gauge, that's kind of self-explanatory. And then of course when using the skill, you know, depending on the remaining enemy's HP, that can become an insta-kill. Depletes own cursed energy after domain deactivates, unable to fill own ultimate skill gauge after deactivates, and that's for 2 turns. Combination, you do just Jujutsu damage to all enemies, so it's AoE. And then when it comes to the passive, at the start of each turn, if own HP is 70 or below and own cursed energy is 40 or above, recovers own HP by 8%. The lower own HP is, the greater the HP recovery, up to 16%. Inflicts damage cut to self, decreases own damage received by 12%. The higher the own cursed energy is, the greater the damage received decrease, up to 24%. This free Mahito is good. This could have been a banner character, and this probably would have sold beautifully. But he's free. He's free. Now he's not, again, not in global just yet. Again, for the global side of things, I would personally, I think Jogo will be my pick of choice. Although not to say Hanami's not too bad, but it comes down to personal preference of what you guys want. But overall, I'm literally waiting for this man. It's as simple as that. Again, if you guys want to go about purchasing whichever one, if you can gradually get to 1500, by all means. But I feel like by the time we get close to 1500, because, you know, being free to play, it's going to be a slow and steady pace. Mahito might be out already, or being close to being released, so I'm just going to be patient about it. I know it's going to take me a while to get to 1500, and I'm sure it's going to be the same for most of you guys. Unless you're going to be paid win about it, then hey, power your way through, it's all good. But for me, it's going to be a slow and steady pace. I know this, and so from that, when I get my first batch of 1500, there is no way in God's green earth I'm just going to spend it, and then next thing you know, Mahito drops, and I'm just sitting there looking like an absolute donut when I just had to wait a little bit longer to get the better free SSR character, you know?